So today is Monday. Welcome to Monday. What's today's day? I think today is the 17th of January, 2022. Tomorrow marks exactly 2 years since I lost my dad. May he continue to rest in peace. May he continue to watch over us. And we will do what is necessary. Yeah, definitely. But I trust you had a very wonderful weekend. Over the weekend, I spent some quality moments with my family because it was my son's birthday. And so I brought together the family in our home, and we celebrated, in modesty. We celebrated in modesty. Some other people, or some other friends and family members of ours, traveled to Gambaga in the northeastern part of this country to commiserate with Comrade Asan Libi, who buried his dad over the weekend as well. And it was a grand funeral. I think everybody who matters in the NDC was there. So we also commiserate with him, and we pray that God will grant his father Jenna, and one day we shall meet again. Now, today we are going on about our business, and the business for this morning is to try and delve and deliberate and have conversations about what is happening in our dear nation, Ghana. When I'm in my suit like this, not Brofona Basa. All right, so let me quickly take you through the topics that we've chosen for our conversation this morning, after which I will introduce my panelists, and then we can have a very wonderful conversation. Malians demonstrate against regional sanctions, and I saw the multitude of people who are thronged the streets of Mali in protest against the sanctions imposed on the Malian people by ECOWAS. Clearly, they are in disagreement, and blatantly so, they have demonstrated their disagreement on the streets of Mali. What would that mean for ECOWAS going forward? It appears that ECOWAS took that singular decision without consulting the feelings of the people, or if you will, others will say without recourse to the feelings and aspirations of the Malian people. Yes, they may not be in support of the military junta. They may not be in support of the military takeover. However, they clearly will not also be in support of some sanctions, which sanctions would directly impact their lives in Mali. So they have demonstrated same. I hope that good conscience will prevail. I hope that ECOWAS will listen to the voices of conscience and reason and backtrack, or otherwise find ways and means which can amicably resolve this, this situation between Mali and, the coup leaders. Now, Kofi Amwa, he says Oforiatta is a disaster. I mean, clearly everybody knows Oforiatta is a disaster. He don't need a soothsayer to tell you that. Ghana needs a better finance minister, and that's the inside this for the Alan Blasbaumia for MPP presidential contest. Global Info Research. Okay, right. So that's the new crusading guide. Now, if you have been following politics for some time, I'm pretty sure that you know that MPP has had some sequence of events which transpires once a leader exits, right? And clearly it appears that a lot of the people are in agreement with the fact that it is the time, or it's a turn of Alan Kojo Tremantin to lead the MPP into the 2022 election. Indeed, they say that he's a torchbearer now for the New Patriotic Party. Whether that is true or not, we will have that conversation. But clearly, other people are not happy about the way it appears that Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo is throwing his weight behind Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who indeed has indicated, in fact, before he became the vice president, but I'm not your folk. How can I be a vice president? We know about all of that. Well, let's see how it plays out in the MPP. Good morning to you, Yirimambo Moses Ambeng. It's been a wonderful weekend for you, I can presume. In fact, I can see that from your smiles and from your laughter. It is very axiomatic and palpably so. You see, you can fool some of the people some of the times, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Now, clearly, you were with President John Dramani Mahama a few days back before the weekend. And so, it is. You know how they say?
Sympathize with.
Oh, you want to sympathize with your pockets too?
it's really the other way around. You rather have to show sympathy.
Oh, so you want to sympathize with his pocket? So you want to
do some donation.
Now he will move. Doc Barbara, good morning as well. I trust you well.
I'm very well.
Yeah, except that you need more money.
Not just that, this week has greeted us with bad news of increase in
Charlie,
price of fuel again.
By next month, they're not gonna break it. By next month, they are breaking it in the energy sector.
It's not easy, but we are managing. Ghana, we are all managers, so we just manage to survive.
Right. So, Dr. Barbara, there. Now, good morning to you, Desmond Nana Ohene Into. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Why did I say Barbara? I
said we need to look into this Barbara issue.
No, Benedetta Barbara. I confuse your name sometimes. I don't know why I do that.
Anyway, maybe
they are both B.
Well, okay, Dr. B.
No
trouble. But as a matter of fact, I can make that popular for you. So when you say Dr. B,
that's right.
Everybody knows it's Dr. Benedict.
That's right.
Just like I've made your name popular. God, Yirimampo.
Oh yeah, very well.
Yeah.
Anywhere I go.
Yeah. So people don't even know the Moses, right? You know it's Yirimampo.
When the name comes with some accoutrement, that is better. But when you just mention the name, nothing comes out.
No money for Google.
It's not easy.
Well, but the PR division in the finance ministry disagrees with you.
Really?
Said that the fundamentals are as healthy as a bouncy baby boy.
Really?
Or a bouncy baby girl.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes. Oh, you don't know?
No, I've not even heard.
Oh,
what are you talking about?
Read the newspapers, you will see.
Well, it's no surprise. The same group of people say a bunch of plantain is 4 cedis. So, what do you expect?
Anyway, so let's do this. Mali. You remember?
Yes.
Mali.
Yes. A very good morning.
You saw the mammoth.
Yes.
Crowds.
That's right.
Gathered in Mali by reason of expressing their disagreement in respect of ECOWAS's decision. Now, clearly, you see, it's a chicken and egg situation.
I'm telling you. It's not easy. I've been thinking about
And you know what the military guys did? They just simply said that, let's just come out. Did you see the people?
I saw it. I saw the pictures and it was.
I said, wow.
This is not the crowd that came out to protest. Hey, Kwame, it's a very dicey situation.
Telling you.
A very good morning to your cherished viewers. A very good morning to all my comrades around the country. Kwame, this Malian situation, some few weeks back we were here talking about whenever a coup is, set up in West Africa, we should push sanctions. And this is a typical play of it. Now ECOWAS has put in some sanctions, and the populists are now saying that no, down with ECOWAS. So we have to really revise our notes again. Now, the Malian situation, I believe that when the coup happened, ECOWAS as a sub-region tried to move in there to ensure that there will be some timelines for the elections. And the military junta also, put in some requests that they'll be having elections. That was even last year. It couldn't happen. So I believe that their lack of not sticking to the timelines has really affected the rollout of ECOWAS program. But notwithstanding,
Planted in their national colors.
Of course. So this shows that the military regime has garnered some support from the populace. And I don't know what kind of orientation they did, but I believe that it is in line with the crying of the masses, with the same situations pertaining in West Africa of unemployment, hardship in the system. So they see that the military regime is the only solution to their problem as it stands now. But as I always say, Kwame, whenever there is a change of government for the military regime, in a very short run, you can see some successes. But in the long run, you will then feel that, look, it is almost the same thing.
Question is, Yirimambo,
yes.
Why is it so difficult for African leaders to look beyond their personal interests and to address the interests of the majority? I'm not saying, I don't subscribe to stealing and I don't subscribe to corruption. But we know that it's endemic. We know that even Professor said it, that is part of us, right?
Yes.
But beyond that should be the events which will lead to sort of addressing the fundamental teething challenges confronting the people. How is it so difficult for people, for the leaders to do?
Well, I mean, that's a very good question. I believe it is not only with Mali. Within the South region, we have similar challenges across board. Maybe Ghana, we have been lucky because, well, maybe we have been relaxed, waiting for the ideal opportunity to pounce on our leaders. But now, Kwame, it's difficult for African leaders, most especially the Francophone countries. Why? Because for the Francophone countries, they have a colonial power which is so much interested in what happens in their country. So you realize that as leaders in these Francophone countries, they are treated very well by the colonial power. And they try to relegate the populace to the background. And this is a similar feature in most Francophone countries. And we always say, look, the interests of France in West Africa, I don't know. And as we speak, Kwame, it is not only in Mali, they have interests in Côte d'Ivoire, everywhere. And at every given moment, where a leader pops up and tries to disagree with them, then Kwame, I bet you, your reign will not last long. So if you become a puppet to them, then at least they will safeguard you for a very long time. A classical example is what is happening in Togo. Yasingbe has been in power since his father's demise for a very long time because he's playing to the rules of the colonial power. Immediately he turns back. Kwame, I'm telling you, you will see an uprising in Togo within months. So I believe that it is a difficult thing for them because West African countries are not self-reliant, most especially the Francophone ones. Even with the Anglophone ones, at least we try, but we have our mouths and with IMF and other, international institutions. So becoming self-reliant is the solution. But how do you become self-reliant, Kwame? If you don't pull your economies together within the South region or the whole continent, there is no way. Because what is your market size? Very tiny. So when you are dealing with a superpower, it feels that you are nothing. But when you go in a block, that is where there is strength. But our leaders have refused to understand this. Common ECO, for the past how many years that we've been trying to introduce ECO, we've been unsuccessful. We fail in all the parameters. And look at how the city is suffering. Look at how the Naira is also suffering. But we fail to think outside the box to say that, look, when we bring our economies together, our currencies become stronger in the form of an ECO. But our leaders have refused to see this. And Kwame, to be able to do this, you need balls. Honestly, and it looks as if for decades, our leaders don't have the balls like Osagyefo used to have to call the shots. They don't.
We don't inwardly look at the possibility of expanding, production, right? Creating avenues where production will be the way to go. We only look inwardly when we feel there is a need for us to tax the people and steal from them.
That's right.
So in that sense, because I'm looking at the issue from the perspective of your analysis, where you intimate that, well, look at our tiny economies. How do we compete with the bigger giants out there? And I agree with you, to a very large extent. But if we know that we are unable to do that,
yes,
right? But we are still able to find ways of, for instance, creating an industrialized economy and creating a productive economy where it will be easier for the youthful population to be able to get something to do, which will definitely translate, to money, which will eventually help the GDP and the GNP. Then we'll be going somewhere.
Yeah.
So
it's
how then, because what the Kufado said, we move from taxation to production, for instance. It's something that I bought into.
It's cheap talk.
Can't we do so independently in all the other African countries, so that at the end of the day, even if we are not, satisfactorily trading amongst ourselves, there will be some semblance of freedom. You know what I'm saying? From the shackles of the,
okay, so this is how it is in reality.
Yeah.
When we talk about industrialization, that is the way to go. And Ghana, we failed in this endeavor for decades. It is only in the 50s and the 60s that we succeeded in industrializing this country. Why do we keep on failing? It is simple. There is a group of cabal who, if you tell them that, okay, within the next 5 or 10 years, Ghana is going to be self-reliant when it comes to poultry production, when it comes to rice production, when it comes to sugar production. This cabal, they are going to lose big time. Why? Because they are the importers of these products. Now, don't forget, these same cabal of businessmen are the ones who sponsor politicians to elections. So when it comes to making the tough decision of making sure that you want to industrialize a country, you give yourself the next 5 to 10 years that will be self-reliant in these sectors. This same cabal will come to you that, hey, my brother, you can't do that. Because when you do that, you are running our business down. And that has been our major failure. Because those who are pulling the shots within the economy, who are businessmen who put these politicians where they are, We will not allow you. Kwame, that is why I said that for us to succeed, we need a leader with balls. To say that in the next 5 to 10 years, Ghana has to be self-reliant in poultry production, in sugar, rice, oil. You see, and these are the things that we spend most of our head currencies on food. So how come within the country, we can't give ourselves timelines and say that, look, within this timeline, we'll be able to move and ensure that we're able to produce all these things here locally. We failed in that regard because the cabal that will, benefit from the trade, and that is the importers. In fact, they are the ones pulling the shot politically. So do not allow you, Kwame. And 2, there's no political will. Because immediately you do that, you are going to cut off supplies from Europe and other foreign countries. And remember, when we are buying from them, we are creating employment there.
Absolutely.
So they want that stream to continue. So immediately you cut that thing off, they will be at a loss. So would they allow you to do that? They will tell you that is not the way to go. Concentrate on your fiscal policies, try to strengthen here and there. That is what they keep on preaching to you, to the IMF and other institutions. They don't tell you industrialize and be self-reliant because they know immediately African states become self-reliant, they are doomed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll keep on hammering and make sure that, okay, let's keep Africa where they are.
Okay.
Because we stand to benefit.
Nananto, is it that we are bereft of understanding? Or is just a deliberate attempt by I don't know what to describe the African politicians as bourgeoisie, but because they are compradors, they act in favor of the bourgeoisies. But is it an attempt just so they can continue to take advantage of the ordinary masses? One has argued, albeit that it is not founded in any scientific analysis, but it is founded in logic, that the reason why they continue to keep the African people impoverished, I'm talking about the politicians, is so that they can always take advantage of them at every given opportunity, particularly during election period. So that when they come to you and they give you 5 Ghana cedis, 10 Ghana cedis, 20 Ghana cedis, you are happy. When they come to you and they tell you that I'm going to build toilet for you, you are happy. Like what Baumia has been saying, I'll build toilet for you. You're happy. So they don't want you to be self-reliant, independent, and self-sufficient. All they want to do is for you to continue to knock on their doors whenever you need some basic amenities of life. How come that the people who live within the African countries, the citizens of Africa, have not come to that realization? And if we have, how come that we have been very silent and dormant at effectively attacking the dogs and not the person who gave the dog the bone?
Kwame, thank you very much, and very good morning to yourself, and good morning to Dr. B and my brother Irimambu.
Dr. B.
Yes. Yes. But we've given you a new name. Yes.
Dr. B.
Dr. B.
What do you do?
Yes, sir.
Your question, the simple answer I can give to it is greediness. One is greediness. African leaders, our leaders are greedy. They tend to think about themselves more than the people who brought them to power. And of course, like you said, when they empower you, you are going to get to where they are. And so, if you get to where they have reached, it means that you are going to compete with them. And so, obviously, they have to sort of, either sit on you, let me just use a simple term, sit on you, frustrate you, so that you cannot even get to where they are. And it cuts across all the African countries. Just give me one scenario where you will not find one leader or the other trying to, ensure that his people or their people are in poverty. I keep saying that we vote leaders into power to come and serve us. But in Africa, it's the other way around. We vote them to power and then we still go ahead to serve them. Because look, the politicians will fix the salary of the ordinary Ghanaian, the ordinary people. The politician will ensure that basic amenities that the ordinary people need, they are going to make sure that they provide. But at the end of the day, ask yourself, is that what we preach? We don't. So for me, that is why you realize that when there are coups in some countries, people prefer the military regime than the civilian rule. Because they've realized that with the civilian rule, people are taking advantage of the ordinary citizens.
So it begs the question, is democracy important?
Well, in Africa, I can tell you for a fact that we are hiding behind democracy and doing all sorts of things which doesn't augur well for us. We claim we believe in democracy, but ask yourself, how many percentage of democracy do we practice in Africa? How many? We are not even up to 50%. If indeed we believe in democracy, look at what is happening in our country. Just a few people are enjoying. Just a few people. The way people are ruling African countries, the continent, ask yourself. Look at what has happened in Mali. The same thing happened in Guinea. Now, when they took over, the military took over in Guinea, people went out there to jubilate. Now, look at what is happening in Mali. ECOWAS has sanctioned Mali, and they are jubilating. It's not like jubilating, excuse me, they are protesting, demonstrating. That why would you sanction our leaders? Then it means that they have their backing. To hell with ECOWAS. I keep telling you that for me, I don't see ECOWAS. I only see them existing on paper. Because when issues come up, that is when you hear of ECOWAS. Then you will see our president, the president of Cote d'Ivoire. Ask yourself, what differently are they doing in their own countries? Is it not almost the same thing? People are complaining of hardship. Do they even take care? They don't. You understand? So if you are not able to control your own house, how would you be able to go and control somebody's house? That is why the Malian people are demonstrating, because they've realized that, look, upon all the sanctions, even you claim you are in democratic, country, what is happening in your various countries is more than military takeover. Because that's why I said we are hiding behind democracy and doing the other way around.
What lessons are we drawing from this, all of this as a country? And I'm asking this question because it appears that we have come to accept the unjustifiable assumption that the Ghanaian people are very timid, calm, quiet. They will never get to the point where they will boil up and maybe demonstrate and cause a political upheaval or whatever it is, right? But when it gets to a point where people feel like, I have nothing to lose, I'm tired. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm afraid, but it appears that that's where we're headed. Because if you engage a lot of the young people on the streets of Accra, they tell you that, listen, I don't care. I mean, I don't care. What do I have to lose, really?
You see,
so
we've gotten to a point where Ghanaians, it's not like we are timid. People are just observing. And the way things are going, like you said, if you meet 10 youth out there, 8 of them are not happy about what is happening in the country. I remember last Thursday, I went to Kufodua, a suburb called Ampadre. And you know what the people told me? Those people in the village, they said, you people in the city, you think we are fools. You claim there is vaccine all over. And a community of about 300 people, you only brought vaccine for 21 people. So we are waiting for you. You come here for vote. You see, we've gotten to a point where people don't want to go to that extent of, using the gun. But we have developed into a nation where we only punish people with our thumbs. It's not like we are timid. Ghanaians are seeing what is happening. It's just that we've not gotten to that point where somebody will just rise up and say, hey, let me go and do this. So when somebody says Ghanaians are timid, I don't agree with that. It's just that we have a way of punishing. Look at what has happened in Parliament. We were supposed to have a speaker from the ruling government. But somewhere along the line, somebody punished them.
Yeah, but when you try all of those options, and it leads you to a dead end, then the result of that process will be that the people will agitate. Because you see, what you are talking about, and every time I say this, that the democracy that we pride ourselves with is not by reason of a deliberate carvings of political leaders. It's just because the Ghanaian people have decided that, listen, Charlie, we don't want any chaos. so let's just enjoy what we have. It's the decision of the Ghanaian people. Every time I say it, because what the leaders are doing, does not in any way, shape, or form translate to what could, be the tranquility that we are enjoying. It's just because the Ghanaian people have decided to. So the point is that it will get to a point where the Ghanaian people will say, okay, we've given you enough room. We have practiced this democracy for over 20-something years. And yet somehow we are not getting any results. The people are continuing to be impoverished. No real development. Our roads are bad. The leaders are chopping the money. You see that somebody comes into power for just 4 years. The person has bought a house in East Legon. I'm just saying, the person has bought a house in East Legon, drives Bentley, has built mansions for the girlfriends and the wives. And so, no, I mean, the people can only take that for a very... they can accommodate that for a long time.
Kuma has a quote on this.
He has a quote on
this. Yes, he said, Ghanaians are not timid people. As has been suggested in the foreign press. Far from it. They may be slow to anger and may take time to organize and act. But once they are ready, they strike and strike hard. It pays no one to tamper with the Ghanaian freedom and dignity.
Absolutely. The Ghanaian freedom and dignity. So, Nanato.
Yes.
When you sleep and you project your, I don't know what word, but they have a word for it. Whatever. But you try to get into the future. Okay.
What the future holds for Ghana?
Yes. How do you see? I'm saying Ghana is not different from Mali, really. Apart from the fact that we speak French, we speak English. But the material conditions are the same.
Essentially.
Okay. How do you see Ghana? And whether or not you think that you have to immediately address at the very least, the small things confronting the people before we get to this point.
You see, I when I sleep, sometimes I weep because I ask myself, is it good to be ruled by old men? The reason why I ask, is it good to be ruled?
Younger
Because you see, when you are being ruled by old men, it's like somebody who has retired. That is why we have retirement age.
His brain is tired.
The brain is tired. And you need to sit somewhere and be playing with your grandchildren. But this is when this is where we see grown up playing with our minds, our heart. You understand?
They have nothing to lose.
So that is why I'm telling you that.
My father will say,
that is it. That's why I'm telling you that. For him, he doesn't care. He's only waiting for God to call him. So whatever you do, whatever you tell him, he doesn't care. That is why we can have a president who can charter an aircraft. People complain that there is hardship, yet he said, oh, he has not even seen anything. And so for me, when you look at the people around the president, tell me who is below 60 years. Tell me his advisors. If you combine 10 of them, their ages are up to 1,000 years. And so thinking right for the ordinary Ghanaian becomes a problem. That is why God in his own right wisdom said that when you are 60 and above, just relax so that you can be playing with your grandchildren in your corridor.
At best, you can be advising.
That is it. Exactly. But this is where, and to be able to govern a country, it is a difficult task. You need to crack your brains. And we need younger generation. We need younger guys to be able to
economic messiah as the vice president.
Come on,
who is younger? What's he
don't even go there. Somebody who has brought issues and we are having problem with. This economic messiah has given us headache as a nation.
Let me come to Dr. B.
He has given us a headache.
Let me come to Dr. B. It appears you have a lot to talk about the economic messiah. So let me come to Dr. B. And then when I come back, we will talk about the economic messiah, who is Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, always locking things and leaving the key with the IGP. But unfortunately, that key went with the IGP who was removed. So the new IGP has not, doesn't have the key to the economic quagmire. Dr. B, let's come to you. Your take on the Malian situation.
Yeah, good morning to our cherished viewers
and Dr. B, if you can energize yourself for us, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Dr. B.
I know good morning to our cherished viewers.
I know that lecturers are suffering, but you don't worry.
I used to on strike.
Yes, we are. We are not backing
They
down.
said it's illegal.
Yeah, it is now or never.
Labor Commission says it's illegal.
We are saying it is now or never.
That's right.
I think the way I started just shows that things are not moving right. As a Ghanaian, you wake up and you are really worried and asking yourself several questions. And sometimes what to eat. And I know more than half the population find themselves in that situation. A country that almost every week we see rise in the price of fuel and the price of commodities are going up. And yet we are made to believe that the indicators or financial indicators are looking good and we should praise the sitting government or the ruling government for doing excellently well. So of course when you wake up as a Ghanaian, you're kind of just tired, though you were sleeping, but like the brain keeps working or the brain have been working. And that's what I find myself this morning. Malian, why are they demonstrating? Of course, we know the story in the past week, what has happened and what is going on now. This demonstration is actually, in my opinion, an indication that people are losing confidence in our leaders. It's a demonstration, I mean, it's something that shows that ECOWAS or people have lost trust in ECOWAS, their ability to solve their problem when there is a crisis like what's happening in Mali. We've seen in, was it in Guinea?
Yeah, Guinea.
Yes.
Guinea.
Recently, what happened?
Guinea, they asked for their leader, they are not joking.
You know, when their members, that's members of ECOWAS, are doing wrong thing, instead of ECOWAS as a body drawing their attention and cautioning them, they sit down until there is a disaster. In fact, to simply put, ECOWAS is more reactive than being proactive. We've seen leaders trying to change a whole constitution of a country just to their own benefit. And yet, a body like ECOWAS, a body like AU, you know, not say anything until there is an uprising. And so this issue of putting sanction or sanctioning a country because there is a military takeover, I think ECOWAS cannot be praised, or ECOWAS cannot be, just for the lack of words, to say they've done well by doing that, because the people that they intend or the people they are targeting are not going to be the people who will suffer from this sanction.
Yeah.
I mean, if, God forbid, there is a coup today in Ghana, it's the ordinary Ghanaian that will suffer. It's the women and children that are going to suffer. Our leaders are not going to suffer in any way. In fact, a lot of them have, yes, visas in their passport. A lot of them have houses abroad that they can fly their family and leave us. So it is we, the ordinary people, who are going to suffer. Sure. The same way applies to the Malian. And so if ECOWAS says the best way to punish a coup leader or people who have a military takeover is by closing their borders, is to prevent them from withdrawing their own money or getting support or loan from other members or, foreigners. You are not punishing these leaders. You are just punishing the citizens. Issues of medical care, issues of academic or education are going to suffer. And I want to also say that while this is happening, we should not think as a country that this is far away from us. Why did the Malian experience a military takeover? Of course, there are some fundamental reasons why a country experiences that, and that includes unemployment. It includes people feeling excluded from the national cake. People feel that there are some few individuals enjoying what is supposed to be for the masses. And as I'm talking now, we are experiencing this in Ghana. Just recently, we have some statistics saying that the youth from 15 to about 30 years, we have about 33 of them unemployed. And in fact, when we look at the number of unemployed graduates in the system, look, we are just sitting on a timing bomb as a country. But what do we see our leaders do? Whilst we are crying of unemployment, whilst we are crying of suffering of the masses, we see our president, for example, having V8 in charge of carrying his seat, presidential seat, from one place to another as the president of the country. V8. So let's just look at the amount of cost. You have a driver to the V8, you buy fuel, you are doing servicing, and a whole lot. We see our president saying that the presidential jet is not fit for purpose. And so he hires a private jet. Not just something at a moderate price, but at a twin of £15,000 per hour to go and borrow or to go and beg for money. You see, in this current budget, over $400 million allocated to only the presidency. And then you ask yourself, what are we doing to ourselves as a country? When the ordinary Ghanaian cannot afford 3 square meals in a day, you see mothers carrying babies at their back and hawking on the streets. You can imagine the risk they are exposing these children to, and even their own self. We've heard, drivers just running into hawkers and killing them. You see graduates, you go to a washing bay, they are graduates, they're washing cars to make a living. You go to a block factory, you will see graduates carrying blocks or molding blocks to make a living. And yet, we are in a country where we see our Minister of Health trying to shortchange us by going to buy a vaccine almost twice the price in the international market. Then when we cried, our president said the Minister of Health is suffering the hands of Ghanaians. What pray? And now all pray. What can we say about such a situation? So like Kwame Nkrumah said, Ghanaians, we are patient to anger. But what is happening in the sub-region? I said, Ghana, we are only sitting on a timing bomb. And our leaders should not wait until there is an explosion. I can feel the anger of the youth.
Okay.
I teach, and I always have students, far back 2012, 2013, 2014, calling me, Doc, is there anything we can do? Because I thought now we are doing nothing.
Right.
So it's really worrying, and I think our leaders need to sit up.
These are very, in fact, your submission has brought into focus a very important conversation which we've had in the past. But also what is corroborating that conversation is what has been captured on the front page of the New Crusading Guide. It's a statement attributed to Professor Tifwa, who is urging citizens to be involved in consolidating our democracy. So at least they acknowledge the fact that democracy is not the creation or the making of political elites. it is sustained by the understanding masses who have elected that because we have chosen this path, we must make sure that the path is always clean and clear at all material times. Now, when Dr. B was making her submission, she made mention of something which I want us to touch on briefly before we move on to the next topic, about the fact that graduates are carrying blocks, graduates are washing cars, etc., etc. I, from what I said, think that it shouldn't be a problem, really. I mean, if you find graduates carrying blocks and they love what they're doing, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay?
It is not about loving.
No, hold on. I'm just trying
let's put it in right perspective, because
I'm not questioning what you're saying.
No.
I am actually trying to advance a certain argument for all of us to have a conversation about, which is in tandem with what you have stated.
The word they love doing what they are doing. That is where I want to
I'm saying
say
that if they love what they are doing, then that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Okay, that's the point I'm making.
Okay.
Because we've traveled before. We know what graduates do when they travel out. You know, sometimes they don't love it, but if the pay is good, why not? Now, this one, the pay is not good. They don't love it, but they have no choice. Okay, that's the point. So, my question to all of us here is, how do we deal with our economic and unemployment situation, for instance, in this country? Okay, from what I said, I think that the focus largely has been on the literate as opposed to the illiterate, the informal sector. So we consistently, without contradiction, address issues or try to address issues which has got to do with the formal side of things rather than the informal side of things. And I'm saying this because if you traverse the country and you move from, let's say, even here, just from Pan-African Television to Fiesta Royale, you see that the number of people who sell on the streets of Accra, those are people who form part of the informal sector. But when you are drafting policies, it appears that the policies are directed at the formal sector as opposed to the informal sector. And so we are doing youth intervention projects, and we are talking about NAPCO. And NAPCO is to serve graduates. We are talking about UStart. UStart is to serve some graduates or people who have been to school at the very least. But we have not designed policies which addresses the informal side of things. And so the person who sells on the street of Accra will continue to sell on the streets of Accra, and when they get tired, they'll pick up arms and they'll go and rob you. So that is, and your submission actually brought my mind and my attention to this particular aspect of the conversation, perhaps that we should touch on before we look at all the other issues. Let me start with you, Desmond, Nana Nto, on this one.
You see, I always say that as a country, we don't have any developmental plan. If we have a plan and we are focused and we stick to that particular plan, people will be getting something to be doing. It's because the politician comes, they come with a book and says, when you give me the mandate, I'm going to do A, B, C, D. So when they come, instead of them to focus on an agenda that is going to help the whole country, they come out with their own plans. That is why you will see government comes, he will promise we are going to do one district, one factory, and nothing happens. It's because we are not focused as a nation. If we have National Development Commission, right? Yet we don't see what they've been doing. We don't have any national plan for the nation. And so people come, they look at an avenue where they can create, loot, and share. That is what is happening. But if indeed we have a developmental agenda, a plan, every government comes, focus. That is why in some country you can plan for 18 solid years. But in Ghana, just plan for 3 days. By the third day, everything is down. You understand? So for me, if we want to be able to tackle the issue of unemployment, we want to tackle the issue of people on the street, we should have an agenda. See, I ask myself, what was the essence of creating these new regions? The idea was that they are going to bring development in various regions. I don't agree to that issue, because they have rather created jobs for people's uncles and fathers and what have you. Because when you create new regions, you are going to have a regional minister. You are going to build for what do we call it? Their secretariat for the region. Meanwhile, ask yourself, the regions that they've created, has there been any development there? No. So these are some of the campaign promises, because they promise that when they come, they are going to create new regions. They have created it. Yet, we are wasting money. So for me, it all boils down to how can we as a nation come together and say, look, let's plan in the next 20 years. This is our agenda. This is where we want to tackle. If you come and you look into our national plan, I'm going to tackle roads. If you come and you look into our national plan and say, I'm going to tackle education, just do that.
How do we achieve that? Particularly because if you look at the political fabric, it's been torn between the lines of the NDC and the MPP, and of course the other political parties, but most significantly or manifestly are these two leading political parties, the NDC and the MPP. Now, what you're saying is very, very good, that we must have a sustainable plan. But we know what we do with the idea or the ideation of even wanting to conceive that idea of creating a plan that works. Because we know that our political opponents will capitalize on it and then use that for their advantage. Now, the point I'm trying to bring your attention to is that how would we be able to achieve this, particularly when the citizens have been brainwashed into thinking that anything which has got to do with, for instance, making them suffer just a little bit, is detrimental to their growth. How do we deal with these things? You do recall that, and I'm not holding brief for the NDC because I know they have their own flaws, but I do know that, for instance, when we were expanding the Terminal 3, we know how we politicize that, for instance. I also do know that when we were constructing some roads and building some bridges and things like that, we know how we politicize it in this country. And we know how inimical that was. Henry Korte has started something which is very good. And I have always supported that, and I'm continuing to support that for so long as he's still the regional minister. That he's trying to make Accra clean. But how have we received that as a nation? How do we translate that that information? How do we communicate that information? We always communicate that information, citing examples of how, 4 years, because you are taking food from my mouth. No, let's face it.
Oh yeah.
So how do we build ourselves? How do we create jobs for people? And how do we expand the economy if we are still living in this primeval, understanding that we have about politics and about development?
You see, if we intend thinking about our various political parties first before the nation, we will not get far. For me, I think that we have to be thinking about our nation first before we even think about ourselves, if we really want Ghana to develop. Because if we put political parties aside, we all want to govern Ghana. Is that not it?
Yep.
So if you want to be able to govern the nation, Ghana, and you think about your political party first, where will you take us to? It will not take us anywhere. So if we come together as a nation, stakeholders, teachers, lawyers, everybody come together. Let's plan. But you see, the political parties and the politicians have made it in such a way that when they want to come out with policies, they don't include the people who matters for them to be able to, make sure this policy will work. For example, you want to make a policy that will enable you deduct money from my mobile money wallet, and you don't include people or the vendors who are directly involved. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, because if you have involved them, they will be able to tell you that, look, if you take A, B, C, D, it will help us. Most times, they come out with policies without consulting the people who matters. So you realize that when it gets to a point, then the policy just breaks down. That is why you see a whole lot of policies which is supposed to benefit the ordinary Ghanaian, but somewhere along the line, it will just break down because the consultations didn't go down well. I can name a lot. See, these free SHS policies that we are talking of. Ask yourself, how was the consultation done? Look at where the free SHS is now. Now, even the education system itself. I don't want to talk too much because Dr. B is here.
Dr. B is here.
If you look at our education system, I only ask. So in those days, when they were attending school, is that the same process they went through? No. If this is how they went through in those days, I don't think they will be president and vice president by now.
Yeah, let me come to Dr. B. Now, Dr. B, your party, Dr. B. It makes life easier for me.
You don't want to commit.
I was just wondering.
But let me come to you. I mean, this issue about the formal and informal unemployment in Ghana is a very crucial one.
Yeah.
And it appears that we have not particularly focused on these areas. Your party cannot be exonerated in this process because I do know that, yes, in some respects, you did very well. But if you look at informal creation of jobs for the ordinary masses, your party is also complicit. You know, how do we forge ahead, particularly when we know the numbers are hiking?
Great. I want to say that when it comes to the informal sector, the NDC have done so well. And when you look at our 2020 manifesto that we titled it the People's Manifesto. So that again links me to what my brother Nto just said, involving the people in policy formulation. If you are a leader and you want to come up with a policy, are those the needs of the people? Are they the priorities of the people? So it's important to involve the people in coming up with policy, and that's exactly what NDC did during the 2020 or run up to the 2020 election, and for that matter, our manifesto. I remember very well we had programs such as Speak Out, and our flag bearer, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, met individuals, groups, youth, women, leaders, chiefs, for them to speak out what are the things that they think as a party we should do to benefit these individuals. And so even in coming up with our manifesto, we did a lot of consultation. So we came up with the People's Manifesto. I remember one famous policy that NDC planned to roll out was this Okada formalization. And I remember very well the MPP poo-pooed this manifesto or this policy and said they were bringing in some taxis or what. So you bring your Okada in exchange for a taxi. And then you really ask yourself, what is the solution? Or what solution, or what solution are they really giving out? Because people are into Okada, or let's say we, the ordinary, take Okada not because we are not able to afford trotro, but sometimes because of traffic. And so people take Okada just to get to their destination on time.
Yeah.
And so if people are going into Okada, of course, as a way of living or as a form of income, what we need to do as a country is to regularize these people, to make it legal, to train them, and to also reduce the chances of getting involved in accidents and reduce the number of accidents we see on our roads. And that's how come NDC as a party, consulting or having a chat with these people, see the need to train them and to give them lances, those who do not have lances, and to make it safe as an Okada rider and as a passenger at the back of an Okada. But we have our people poo-pooing this policy. Of course, NDC came up with a number of policies such as training people, that's creating a situation where people are able to go and learn a trade, and the government pays for that learning process. We have TVET. TVET, government plan to expand TVET institution and train more people. We had issues of even government expanding and also promote agribusiness and see agriculture not as a form of subsistence, but see it as a form of business. So these are policies. Of course, we talk about policies benefiting the masses. When you look at NDC record as far as the education sector is concerned, I think we've done tremendously well. NDC is the only party that have built a number of universities here in Ghana. NDC is the only party, you know, that have done so well in terms of infrastructure in our second cycle institution when it comes to medical delivery. Of course, we have NDC doing so well in terms of infrastructure. We've seen NDC build during NDC time, we built the Legon or University of Ghana Medical Center. We have seen the Dodowa District Hospital being built. We've seen an expansion of Reach Hospital and so on and so forth. So when it comes to policies that benefit the ordinary, we've seen NDC done so well. I think people always say NDC, NPP, we are the same, but I always say that is definitely not true. We've seen this party promising Agenda 111. Where is it?
Okay.
Now, as we are talking now, we have fish downgrading our country from B to B minus. And our economic outlook is negative. What does that mean to the ordinary Ghanaian? What does that mean to the woman who is on the street selling? What does that mean to the hawker on the street? What does that mean to my poor or women in our rural areas? What that simply means is that Ghana cannot borrow.
Okay. All right.
And if Ghana is not able to borrow, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It means that no roads, no schools, no hospitals. I mean, our education system is already, struggling. Yesterday I just received a message that JHS1 are going to follow the new curriculum, a curriculum that there are no textbooks for several years. I think it's over 2 years now. We have curriculum, no textbooks.
They are so right.
So there is really crisis in the system.
Thank you.
So we are actually in a very difficult situation as a country.
We'll get
I think
opportunity to speak
NDC,
to the economic quagmire of this nation,
Sure.
because the next topic will be, we'll be touching on the fact that the finance ministry says that the economy has a sound foot and the fundamentals are actually very, very strong. And those of you who are saying the fundamentals are weak, you don't know what you're talking about. Let me come to Yirima Bomo Zambing.
Yes.
Formal versus informal unemployment in Ghana. Your take.
Yeah, Kwame, I have to agree with my brother Nto on having a plan. I always say, if you don't have a plan, it means you want to fail. And for us to solve the issue of unemployment, you need a consistent plan within a time frame. If not, you will fail. And that is what we've been trying to do, trying to put stopgap measures and other things. And we've been failing over the years. Since 92, we've had democracy for 20-something years. We failed in this regard because we failed to plan as a nation. Now, as it stands now, when we embark on our census, can you tell me, maybe, because there are a series of questions, and I'm beginning to understand, okay, the questions they ask is geared towards getting some of this data. So the informal sector, those who are the hawkers, do we have data to say that there are 20% of Ghanaians in this sector? Do we have it? Because when they came out, they asked a series of questions. And I believe these questions were supposed to, have a special place when we are putting our economic policy together. So now, informal sector, how many people do we have in there? We need data. Formal sector, those who have gone through the school system, how many people are unemployed? We need data. Before you can tackle this, you need to get your data ready. Without the data, you will just be, just beating about the bush. So we need data. When you get the data, then you look at what are some of the causes, the push factors, the pull factors. Now, you realize that most of the people you see here are from our districts or from the hinterlands. So they are coming in here. Even though they know standard of living in Accra is very high, they'll still risk it because they feel that that is the only way they can also make something. Now, they are also saying that in the district level, there's no way they can make ends meet, which I feel is a very sad situation. We should be able to empower our districts so that local businesses within those districts should survive. And we failed woefully in this regard. So everybody thinks that, okay, I have to come to Accra, Kumasi, Takrade, Tamale to survive. Immediately we're able to diffuse that kind of orientation. We are heading somewhere. For the people to believe that, okay, I can live in my district, Lambuse, and make it. So that there will be thriving business activities within that district. Instead of me taking a bus all the way to Accra, immediately we're able to diffuse that. We are making a headway. Now, if you want to do that, it means that you have to look into the district and see what you can do as a government to bring economic activities. So Lambuse is a farming community. What do they farm? Soya bean, sorghum, beans. So you look at these activities. How do we, try to put investment in these areas so that those who are coming to Accra, Kumasi, they can get something to do. At the end of the day, get something in their pocket. And mind you, if you're in Lambuse, and maybe you can spend 5 cedis a day. When you come to Accra, that will triple, about 15 or 20 cedis. So we need to, put up a strategy that confronts the kind of challenges. At the district level, the various communities, what can we do to enhance local businesses?
I was actually been thinking that Mr. Bamia's introduction of digitalization would rather focus more on what you are talking about. So, for instance, the person that grows the soya bean, when they finish, there will be a system where it is easy to first of all market the product and also to make sales.
Precisely. And you are right. And that is the essence of this. But maybe they are taking it from another angle. They are just looking at the political aspect of it.
So you should be able to.
That is it.
The district chief executive of the MCs and things like that should be able to take charge.
Precisely. One of the reasons why local cottage industries are failing is ready access to market. That yes, sometimes we produce local products within our district, but we don't get ready access, ready market. So these are some of the things. You connect the systems and make sure that, okay, I'm in Accra here. I go online, I see that, oh, they are producing some natural shea butter somewhere. Okay, I want it. I order for it. There should be that channel. Come in, you are spot on. And when that is done, I believe that at least it will solve at least some percentage of this unemployment things we see on the street of Accra. Kwame, notwithstanding, I believe that the ball still lies in the court of government to do more. In doing more, it means that you have to call all the stakeholders, as my brother said. You are in power now. Call all the stakeholders. Otherwise, if you initiate a policy now to address these challenges, and you don't involve all stakeholders, the NDC or the CVP will come to power next 2 years and say that, okay, we will go the other way around. And that hurts policy. And I guess the political class should understand this. That when it comes to economic policy and solving issues like unemployment, you need consistency. We should all understand this as stakeholders. So no politicking with this delicate, aspect of the economy, unemployment, health, education. You don't play politics. All of us should understand where we are going as a nation. Plan accordingly. So whatever manifesto you have should be, in tandem with the National Development Plan on employment and on education and on health. I think that is the only way we can, come out of this sad situation of always seeing so much graduate unemployment and people in the informal sector who have to self.
As a matter of fact, there should be a nexus between the informal sector and the formal sector, so that we can all work together for the economic good of this nation. And in your submission, when you spoke about soya bean and things like that, and I think you made mention of the shea butter in brief. What actually came to mind? Because I know for a fact that people actually fly from Rwanda to come and buy the shea butter and go and
interesting.
Yes. From Kenya and things like that, they buy the shea butter.
And I heard shea butter is very expensive on the international market.
On the international market. So the point is that if we produce it here in large quantity, why not digitalize the process of marketing and sales so that people can actually even order online.
Precisely.
You package it nicely, and then it is delivered. Now, the guys in the informal sector, and she spoke about Okada and things like that, could be the ones to even transport it to the bus terminals, which will transport it to the airports and things like that. So there's some nexus.
Yeah.
I don't know why we have decided to continue to allow Nkrumah's projects, to rot. When we can actually revamp and resuscitate those companies, which will also help go a long way to helping the informal sector. So
you see, this government
direction, it's not just this government. I think that has been let's not just blame this government. But I think that because they are in power, of course, it is important to be a constant reminder. We should be a constant reminder to them that this is also a possibility. They should channel their energies
because they don't consult. I'm on this government because they don't consult. Why? Because this one district, one factory thing. It was an ideological thing we the CPP believe in. Because Nkrumah, when setting up those industries, specifically did it in the districts. He knew why he did that, so that you promote local businesses within those districts. Because if you have a tomatoes factory, it means that you meet outgrowers who are tomato farmers, who will get ready access, meaning that whenever they produce, they know that, there'll be market for our product. So they are just taking it to the tomatoes factory for payment. So that is why he did those things. Then after doing that, you add value to it, meaning that you are not going to sell it to other countries in its raw form. You are going to have a locally manufactured tomato. Can't be the same. So you have a cow, he will take the skin to Kumasi for the shoe factory in Kumasi, the horns will go into glue making, and the meat itself goes to Zwarungu. So you can see the chain. So that is why he built these industries in the various districts. He didn't concentrate them in Accra. He made sure they were close to their source, meaning that they're raw materials. But what do we see now? You could see industries the NPP is building now. Some of them are in places where they are not supposed to be, because they are not close to their source of raw material. You see? So these are some of the things. If you want to do this, yes, it's laudable policy, but you need to consult, because the template we have, meaning that we have, raw materials access, and the industries are also attached. So you start from there, then you continue. So you left Pualugu to rot. You've left Zwarungu to rot, the jute factory. Now, Kwame, jute bags. It's only Bangladesh. Very expensive. But meanwhile, we have a factory here in Ghana, the glass factory. What is happening? So that is why I say, look, people don't. But you see, then again, I blame. Sometimes you see, it's very painful to blame the Ghanaian people. But then again, I blame the Ghanaian people because of over politicization of things. We forget. We take our eyes off the ball. That is it. You see, we take our eyes off the ball. That is it. Instead of demanding that government that we've had over the period focus its attention on reopening these businesses so we can get jobs to do. Yes. We are here doing NDC. And that is why in the beginning, I told you it is not easy to do these things. Because the people that call the shots in the international community will not allow you. They will tell you it is a wrong approach. No, but it's been done before. It has been done before because our leader then had the balls. Damn all the consequences. Yeah, but the people we have now, do they have the balls to put this things? With respect, I would disagree with you slightly. Okay. Because you sat here and alluded to the fact that the Nagufwado had started the project like that. One day she went to Lord, but not the way he's supposed to do it. Absolutely. But the fact that it's not the way that's not been started. You don't know. So the point then becomes, even this is worse because they are trying to use the private sector. Yeah, but trying to give businesses some kind of support, which we've seen in the past. Yes. But they will do that support and call it a new factory. That is what they are doing. Yes. And for us, it is nothing new. Yes. We are not trying to solve the issue fundamentally. We are saying that look, there are industries which are close to their raw materials. Make sure that we put the raw materials in these industries so that we can produce them locally here in Ghana and create the market for them. When you do that for 4 years, it means that you are cutting off the supply coming from Europe. That is what we want to see. Have they done that? Tell me which of the one district, one factory companies has been able to produce some quantum of goods which has, reflected in our trade, deficit or anything. Tell me, any of them? None. So they are not solving the fundamental issue. We are still importing what we are importing. So what is the issue? When they were going to, sow nose marks here. That is it. Because Nkrumah's policy was what? Import substitution. Import substitution. Yeah. What can we do so that we can enhance our local industry, so that we stop importing? Have you seen this in the Fourth Republic? Strangely, Nigeria has been able to handle the importation of rice. And that is why I have serious challenges with the NDC, who claims to be socialist. And they should see these things through and through, but they don't. So it hurts us. At least we build it. No, you want to we started. You want to stop that. You have so many years. No, the NDC as a party, We have had so many years to rule this country. And if you really wanted to tackle, this, you would have done it. Yeah. They feel woefully in that regard. So sometimes it hurts me when they call themselves Nkrumah. They are not Nkrumahs. They can't be Nkrumahs. They can't be. Because a true Nkrumahs will not sit down for these things to happen. He will make sure that we solve the fundamental issues of ensuring that our local industries work to cut off the imports coming from Europe. But the NDC has also been in cahoots with foreign powers, with how they call it, IMF and other things. But they turn around to tell us that they are socialists, they are with us in the struggle. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. So for me, 2024, the do or die is a do or die for us to reject the NDC and the NPP. Outrightly. That is the do or die.
I wish the Ghanaian people
they have to listen. That is the only way.
Let me read the message. Let me read. Why is it that you see? Why is it that when they mention your name?
He has just refused the reality on the ground. If not for NDC, when COVID came to Ghana, what would have happened to us?
He's talking about industry, he's not talking about.
You see, the thing is that you cannot do everything at the same time. You have to tackle some
fundamental issues which the NDC should have looked at with all these years they've been in power. But they failed us.
For me, I think
we have done a lot.
It's an advice, so you like it.
We have done a lot. And of course,
and that is why I always say if good conscience will prevail.
That's right.
Because it almost appears as though whenever you proffer any solution,
that's right.
If you don't belong to that party and you proffer that solution, you're an enemy.
You remember the Economic Forum.
The last time, that was a brilliant idea. As a matter of fact, let me read this message. I think it will also bring into sharp focus some of the things we are talking about. Yes. This is from Gabriel Atete of the NDC. And it says, good morning. We have a Ghana at 100 development plan. You may have forgotten because it was used to replace the 40-year development plan of the NDC, which cost the taxpayer and her development partners over 11 million Ghana cedis. The fact is that our leaders have to have put aside. Our leaders have to put aside this witchcraft of always destroying what their predecessors have done and get on with the craft of nationalistic governance and leadership. Aren't we tired of repeating narratives in our JSS social studies textbooks? We are the real enemies of this nation. And you see, I agree completely with Gabriel Atete. In fact, I do recall the Professor Botche committee which was put together, which was put together to come up with a national development plan. In fact, when the NDC exited, they finished the
government and they all resigned. Which I didn't understand.
So today,
they all resigned.
Nothing has happened. No, but they were made to. It's not like
because that commission in a way should have been independent.
Yeah.
So why do you resign? Continue your work.
Yes. Oh, so I mean, that is what it is. But then again, the question also will be, how come that if we are all partners in development, right?
Yes.
How come that at some point we will not form some alliance in order that we can fashion out a workable plan for the purposes of developing this nation? How is it so difficult? I can really appreciate the fact that NDC is a social democratic party, NPP is a capitalist party. Yes. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, but I also agree that it is a destination that we're all looking for. It doesn't matter which vehicle you use.
Yes.
If only you can get to the destination. Precisely. That's the most important thing. Somebody going to Kumasi may go to Kumasi from Cape Coast. Others may go to Kumasi from Accra. But the destination is KDTR Market. Once we all get to KDTR Market, we are there. So changing government should not be the reason why our development will be stalled. In my humble opinion.
Well, it's very simple to say it that way. But
so that's what I'm saying. That it should not be.
Yeah, it should not be.
Our over-reliance. And I'm saying that we are politically retarded.
Yes.
Or politically delusional. And which is why we are here.
Yeah.
You see, I will show you some of the messages which have been sent. We are talking about informal and formal unemployment in Ghana.
Yeah.
And we've all been in agreement that it is something which we must address.
Yeah.
And all political parties, in one way or the other, have been complicit in failing to address these matters. We've all admitted. But you will find that some of the messages are still insulting people who are here seated, commenting on these matters.
Yes.
But you will go and find that the person who is even insulting doesn't have a job to do.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm
Yes.
saying? And that is my problem. That's my problem. That's my problem. Can't the young people wake up from their stupor
I'm telling you.
to the realization that, Charlie, where we are headed, if care is not taken, we will be in a dungeon and an abyss of no return.
Well, some people don't see
You
that.
see, I think it's
It's a
all
problem.
about this brainwashing.
But I don't
Orientation.
have your
Like-
brains. I wonder.
like-
You speak to
like-
people who are educated and they tell you,
I'm telling you.
that as for me, my great-great-grandfather was MPP.
So me, dear,
So me, whether you like
Whether
it or
you-
not,
Can you imagine?
if you bring a punch yourself, I will go.
Can you imagine? A graduate speaking this way.
And sometimes it's 1 year.
Yes.
It's true.
It's serious. This thing, I've been battling with
I
this for a
wonder.
very long time.
We need to.
You go to the universities, you campaign, and people tell you some of these things.
I watched Alaji over the weekend.
Yes.
And I listened to Dr. Tony Edu,
Yes,
who clearly stated that there were some things which were done by the end that he didn't like.
of course.
Do you understand
Yes,
that? That's a true
Precisely.
patriotic person.
Yeah.
That even though I'm an NDC member,
Yes.
I did not subscribe to everything which was done by the
Precisely.
NDC.
Yeah.
That is how we must. That's how we must govern, and that is why we have a lot of sycophants in the NDC and in the NPP.
Of course.
Even if Mahama is doing something which is bad, they will go and sing his praises. Oh, jam. Because they want to steal from the people. How do we progress?
It's a very difficult situation.
Yeah, so that's
Oh,
where,
well.
of course, the
As
education
for
comes
us,
in.
You have to rearrange.
as for us, we can only talk.
Yeah. No, continue.
But I just wish that one day people will just wake up. Not wake up to go and fight the system. But wake up to the realization that we have let ourselves down as a nation. And we are all complicit in the derailment of the growth agenda of this nation. And we are all complicit in the fact that we've not been able to put up hospitals which will serve our people in the villages.
Precisely.
That the market people, the market women are still struggling. That the farmer who lives in some village in Achimasa for Achumamana has not been able to harvest his crops because we are failed him.
Yeah, but honestly,
We
I'm
have failed
sure
ourselves.
if Ghanaians had given the mandate to end this,
It is difficult to ascertain that. It's difficult.
Can you imagine if we had a big push?
We will not
How would have changed?
Dr. B.
Who would have been where we are
Dr.
now?
B! Dr.
No, I know for sure.
2024 is do or die.
It is NDC.
Down with the NDC and the NPP.
No.
Do or die.
NDC is the
Down
ultimate.
with the NDC and the
If we
NPP.
want to change things,
Well, you
the
see,
course of-
for me, when we
economy and
sit here,
everything.
the only thing I can say is that let's leave it to Ghanaians. Ghanaians are going to judge. They have seen hot water and they've seen cold water. And for some of us,
They want the dead.
No, but
some of us, you see me, when I meet
what
with
is
you,
happening.
I always tell you the truth.
Oh, that's true.
And I'll keep on telling you
Yes.
that look, if really we want power,
Yeah.
unless we come together.
Of course.
Absolutely.
I
And,
subscribe to that.
and if we don't come
Wholeheartedly.
together, let's forget,
Wholeheartedly, too.
join one of these parties,
Well, that one is no
and
good
then
idea.
the ideas that we have,
Don't
let's
allow you.
pump it into
Anyway,
them.
don't allow you.
That's
Don't
it.
allow you to print
No,
their space.
no, but
Let's
but
proceed.
we tell Ghanaians that look, because of ABCD, that is why we have been able to
Don't
join
allow
them.
you.
But they don't want to listen to us.
By
Of
joining
course,
forces, rather, is the way.
of course, we
Let's
can
proceed.
come out with some
Let's
plans.
proceed.
Yes.
At the very least, I know that somehow, someday, we will see the light. But I'm also losing confidence in this current generation, particularly because of what interests them, you know? What interests them. It's a problem.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sometimes you talk to very intelligent people who have left, and then they tell you that, Kwame, as for your generation and the next one, I will for you people.
Oh, yeah,
It
yeah.
appears you don't have any direction.
Yeah.
And so we must do something. Honestly, we must do something.
true.
And our craze for riches and wealth overnight is very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. It's a looming disaster.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a looming disaster, and we must begin to have such conversations, particularly where we are now. You know, and so the reason why I'm saying this is because of where our interests lie, it has sort of shifted our minds off what is relevant. You know, and so if somebody is doing something, for instance, NDC and MPP, that is why the battle has been left to only the NDC and the MPP foot soldiers. Because people who are supposed to be independent arbiters in this process
That's
are focused on other things.
Yeah.
You know, they've shifted.
That's right.
And I thought that something was going to happen, something positive was going to happen, particularly because I know that right now the Ghanaian people are very interested in politics. I don't know if you have realized it. That they are very, as opposed to before 2016.
It affects your life.
Before 2016, people were like, oh. But right now you can't you can't defeat you can't deceive the people. You can't deceive the people anymore. So I think that maybe we can carry that spirit of awareness to a point where at the very least we'll be able to spread the word, so that people will become more aware of the fact that they are the ones who can change or affect change in this country. It's very, very crucial. And I always say that don't be afraid of politicians, because you put them there. You feed them. Politicians are no gods.
Precisely.
They are our servants. We are the gods.
People should understand that.
People should just simply understand that a politician, when he gives you something, is not doing you a favor. No. When a politician comes and builds your road, he's not doing you a favor. They're not doing us favors. They make it appear as though they're doing us favor. As a matter of fact, if you book an appointment and you want to go and see a minister, then they are sacking you. They don't have any right to sack you. They don't have the right to sack you because you are obligated.
You have a
right.
Information you want.
You have a right to go to the minister.
But then the reality, of course, that is how it's supposed to be. But then the reality is the opposite.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the reality is the opposite.
You have the servant living very good life.
Suffering. Anyway.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I think that we've had an extensive conversation on the formal and informal. But what is also very important is the fact that the finance ministry is saying that the fundamentals are very, very strong. The fundamentals are very strong. But Kofi Amwa says Ofurata is a disaster. Ghana needs a better finance minister. So we will marry these two topics. The PRO division of the finance ministry is saying that the fundamentals are very strong, very robust, and we have no reason at all to question the prowess and the diligence and the supernatural powers of the finance ministry in the delivery of their financial of their finances, or managing the finances of business. Let me start with you, Dr. B, on this subject matter, please.
Well, as usual, we just have the usual propaganda talk of the economy is booming. People who are saying that there is hardship in Ghana are probably far, far, far back. They have to run and catch up with Ghanaians. It's, again, the usual talk of, things are good, and people who are saying that there's hardship are probably lazy people. But, you see, we are talking about realities. Just, I think, over the weekend, the economic management team leader was being described as a flip-flop leader. He says one thing at one point in time and then contradicts himself. That's our vice president being the leader of the economic team of this country. Run up to 2016 election, we saw there's so many sloganeering by the then opposition party, NPP, in terms of what they want to come and do when given the mandate. I remember very well our president, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, the then flag bearer, said, there's money in Ghana. Ghana it is castle, and so accommodate. And the fact that we do not need to go and borrow. And so they were going to build the economy on production and not on taxation. We have heard our Vice President, Dr. Baumia, then running mate, saying that when the fundamentals are wrong, or when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate would expose you. The same Vice President, who is now the leader of the economic team, saying that when the exchange rates are high, it does not necessarily mean that the fundamentals are weak. We have this same Vice President saying that e-transaction in his opinion, should not be taxed. And that the or let's say Momo is just like your savings or your wallet, a mobile wallet. You are just keeping your money, just like your physical wallet that you put your money. And so whenever you want to buy, you remove and then buy the item. The same way our Momo account is the same as our wallet. So it's like a mobile wallet. And so why should such transaction be taxed? Few days or months after that, we are seeing this issue of e-levy. And now the dimension it has taken to the extent of even witch hunting of some individual that they think that are thwarting the effort of the government to pass the bill of e-levy.
Right.
Of course, we've just heard over the weekend of Fish downgrading Ghana from B to B minus. What that means to the ordinary Ghanaian, or to me and you, and I mean you and I, and the people out there, means that Ghana cannot borrow. And so we cannot borrow from, let's say, external sources. And so we have to look inwardly. And even if we are able to borrow internally, it means that we are borrowing at a very high rate. What is the implication of that? What that means is that if you borrow, it will come to a point where we would not be able to even service our debt. And if you borrow at a high rate, the chances of you defaulting is very high. Of course, the negative rating or having a negative economic outlook, it means that the chances of you defaulting in servicing your debt is very high. And no investor would want to invest in a country that has a high risk of defaulting. What that also means is that when you look at debt to GDP, our debt to GDP currently is around 83%. So virtually we have nothing left for development. Whatever revenue or whatever income that we get goes into paying debt, goes into paying wages and other things. We have nothing for development. So if we want to see our roads constructed, it means that we have to go and borrow. If we want to build or expand our schools or let's say renovate schools, we have to go and borrow. If we want to build hospitals, we have to go and borrow. And if we cannot more borrow, it means that we cannot do any of these things. And this is where we are as a country. We have an economic messiah, somebody who made us believe that he was coming to change the fortune of our economy into a booming economy, into an economy that was going to be self-sufficient, that we do not need to go and borrow. We have this person now in charge. Sadly enough, this economic messiah has suddenly, metamorphosized into a digitalization messiah. Now, almost every speech, they pride themselves so much having now digitalized everything, instead of talking about the main issue, which is our economy. The city that they took from 3.8 or 3.85 thereabout to now almost 6 point something, they virtually run away from it. So of course, if we have Kofi Amwa saying that our Minister of Finance is a disaster, it's nothing so surprising, because we are now heading towards a dish, if only we are not already in a dish, where nothing seems to be holding. Anything that you place in the center is simply not holding. We have seen a lot of agitation from organized labor groups. I think just yesterday or 2 days ago, CLOSAC is also issuing threats. They are going on strike. We've seen, UTAC is already on strike. CTAC went, Tewu, Amigawa, and all labor union. This just sends signal that nothing seems to be working. Everything seems to be falling apart. And we have our finance minister telling us that everything is good. They always come and say that we have a single inflation ticket. Now it's at 12 point something. So we say double ticket. But in reality, when you go to the market, when you go, sometimes you see, people just use technicalities and words to deceive all of us. This issue of even inflation at 12%, I challenge it and I say this cannot be accurate. How do you tell me if I bought, let's say, a bowl of Gary, 5 cedis, let's say 8 cedis, 3 months ago, today Gary is at 15 cedis, and then you come and tell me that the inflation had just increased by 1%. I mean, how?
All right.
Beans is now at 35 cedis. Look, just last week, I went to buy uniform for my children. The last time I bought it was somewhere, I think last year, late last year, somewhere September, October, 34 cedis a yard. The same material, the same brand, or the same company. Just last week I went, it's 60 cedis. From 34 cedis to 60 cedis. And then you come and tell me that inflation has just increased by 1%. What are we talking about? Kenke, a few months ago, how much was it? Today, 2 cedis kenke, you will not be satisfied. Kenke was seen as food for the poor these days. I mean, before you want to eat proper kenke, you are spending between 15 cedis and so, 10 cedis, 15 cedis. And then we said that inflation has just increased by 1%. Fuel, how much was fuel some years back? How much is it today? Why can't Ghana do something even about our refinery? Oh. Like you said, sometimes when the policy seems to benefit the masses, there are some gurus behind the scene, and they think that no, it will disadvantage them. This importation of sugar, importation of rice, chicken, look at how poultry farmers have been crying. What has been done about it? Nothing. So as for the people in charge of our economy, which is the finance minister and our vice president, I think, I don't know what to say, but we just have to cross our fingers and be praying for them.
All right. And
be praying that God quickens the days so that NTC takes over come 2024 in order for us to see prosperity and progress in the pocket of every Ghanaian.
Thank you very much. Desmond, Nana in tow. Let's go.
Kwame.
Yes, my boss. When you start smiling like this, then I start getting afraid for the MPP.
Oh no! Oh no! Kwame. See, for me, where the issues are, if you are really doing well,
so put them there.
I will tell you. But if you are not doing well and you come and tell us that, look, we are doing so much, it's an insult. Kwame, you said the finance ministry, what are they saying?
That's what you are seeing there. That's what you are seeing there.
You see, sometimes, that's why I'm saying that when things are not going on well, and you get someone telling you that, oh, everything is on course, it looks as if you don't have sense. And so you can't even think, you don't know what is happening in the system. People can't afford 3 square meal. People, see, after this Christmas, there's no money in the system. Even during the Christmas, people were not able to afford chicken. And we are complaining. This is the answer you just come and give Ghanaians. And when you sometimes when I see some of these headlines, I only conclude by saying, yes, you are enjoying freely, you get fuel free, you drive in V8, and so even the potholes that people are feeling, you don't feel it. You don't feel it.
You get free water.
You get free water, free electricity, everything free. You understand? So I don't blame them. I don't blame them. They are getting everything free. So what they can just come out and tell us anything they want or they like, because at the end of the day, they don't pay any bills. If indeed he is paying bills, would he be telling us that? If he is paying bills, will he be telling us that? After Christmas, go and look at my electricity bill. Go and look at my water bill. You understand? And you have people coming out to be telling us all these. Charlie, sometimes I get confused. I see it as waste of time reading some of these headlines. It's because, see, anytime they come out to tell us this, it means there's hardship. Yes, they just want us to know that, oh, we know there's hardship, but let's go out there and tell them something. Just tell them something so that at least their minds will be off what is really happening. But that is not the case. You say who? Digital man. Digital man. He is the suffering of he is the cause of all our sufferings in Ghana. Because he didn't tell the president the truth. You know why?
Tell me.
You see, this platform that he's championing, digital platform. I once told you that, look, where he was supposed to have started this whole process was from the birth and death registry. Because nobody want to put money there. They just want to, capitalize on other areas. Make sure this area, let me create. I'll be able to get something and chop. If your fundamentals are not good, how can you be able to build on a good platform? Look at this digital issue. You Google and sometimes it take you to a lagoon. And he's there, happy. He's there happy. Then the next day, you see him coming out again to tell Ghanaians that I have, in the history of even the whole world, if you look at the Ghana's digital platform, it's better than most of the countries. I laugh. I laugh. Look at what is happening. If indeed he has planned our digital platform well, we'll be able to have data, like my brother said. Now, if we want to have a complete data as to people who are employed and people who are not employed, formal and informal sector, we don't even have it. Then you see somebody trying to create an avenue to loot. So he said, oh, let's go and do SIM card re-registration. Useless venture. Needless. You subject the ordinary Ghanaian to another form of hardship. People cannot afford 3 square meal. Instead of them to go out there, work in their various places, they will leave everything, go and queue, all in the name of trying to get their SIM card re-registered. Does it make sense, Kwame? Just look at this. You have given me a scenario where I can you claim the digital platform is working. Granted, if it is working properly, what am I supposed to do? Is it not just a single click? Then I can be able to link my Ghana card with my SIM card. But you do that and you go and queue again. Does it make sense? And then you come and tell her I'm a digital man. Even analog is better than what he brought. Yes, I'm telling you, Kwame. This same man brought drones. When was the last time you heard of drones? That's why I'm saying that this digital man that you are talking about, our economic messiah, I see him as economic something else. He is the cause of our whole problems, because he always wants to come out with something that will look different, but in the long run, it turns out to be affecting the ordinary citizen. Ministry of Finance. Sometimes they insult Ghanaians. When they insult us, they get away with it because we don't tell them anything. But for me, they should be careful, because this comment doesn't utter well for them. The country is broke. Instead of them to accept the fact that we are broke, so that some of us will just be crying with them, they will not even accept the fact that the country is broke. So even if you want to cry, you can cry.
You can cry small in your room.
You understand? You understand? You wake up and fuel prices have gone up. Then you come and tell us that, oh, everything is under control. The mere fact that fuel prices are up, it will affect everything. And he should know. He should know better. Like Doc was saying, what has happened to our talk? Last time I told you that, look, if we have a president who is focused, who has a vision, by now we should be refining our own fango in thermal oil talk, because we have the oil here. But when we extract the oil, we take it outside. It doesn't make sense. Yet you've been able to set board. You set up a board, have a chief executive officer, you pay the person, you constitute a board, pay the board chairman, and they can't even think that, look, let us just use 6 months, try to make sure that talk comes back to life. Everybody comes and poo, the person will just chop. It doesn't make sense. So where are our leaders? Do they think outside the box at all? They don't. Look at somebody too. You go to Ghana Airport Company as a board chair. Instead of you to bring some better innovative things on board, you go and import Christmas tree. And you come and stand on television and justify why you spend that amount. Does it make sense? Meanwhile, you are here championing made in Ghana goods. You are here saying beyond aid. And in those days, we use what we call palm branches when it is coming to Christmas. If we have vision and we want to get money, look around. Can't we just build those palm branches in our airport when investors come in, when foreigners, tourists come? We can even charge them, pay $5, sit in there and have take a coffee and take pictures. Then you rather go to extent of importing Christmas tree. Meanwhile, we have some of the trees at my village, Ampedua and the Samankese.
So you subscribe to Fiamo's assertion that we fire them?
In fact, they are not doing this country good.
All right. Thank you.
And they have to go somewhere in Afghanistan.
Okay, thank you. I'll be coming to Unimambo on this one. But let me read a message from Deku Ishmael, Old Traffic. It says, "Shade to you, champion, and your fantastic panel. The hardship in Ghana is the result of the untruthfulness of candidate Akufo-Addo and his super incompetent running mate Bawumia.
I'm coming.
By deceiving Ghanaians to vote them into office. Champion, corrupt government appointees and their surrogates are the only ones not feeling the hardship in Ghana. Ghana is really broke. Greetings to Muna's NDC regional chairman for Upper West region." Let me see if I have a few other messages that I can share with you. All right, I think that A.U. Farouk says, "Good morning to you. Seriously, the withdrawal of the speaker's bodyguards is unfortunate and barbaric. This act cannot stop the speaker and the minority from not kicking out the killer E-levy. The government is behind all what is happening." Why do we always make things political? I don't get it. If there's a reshuffle, why should it be a problem? Why? I don't understand some of these things though. Timing, who decides what the timing should be? Why are you people doing these things? Every day. My brother comes in just one. Every day we kill. I think that.
Is it really reshuffle? I don't think.
What is it?
Withdrawal.
So what?
It doesn't make
What are
any.
you talking about?
Massa. When Sosu's bodyguard was interdicted, did we fight like this?
No.
My brother, look, let's go. You remember?
Well,
is the speaker supposed to be an NDC member of parliament? Sorry, an NDC member or an unbiased umpire?
He's a partial.
Umpire, sorry. Is he supposed to be a member of the NDC or an unbiased umpire?
So he's unbiased, but he's a member of the NDC.
Yeah. Yes, but when he sits,
yes.
What is he supposed to be an NDC member?
Oh no.
Exactly.
No, but are you saying that that's
why is it that every time you NDC people, every time you want to make everything political? If somebody attacks the speaker small, no,
but
Muslim
this is a deliberate attempt.
It is so
something.
obvious.
It's normal when even MPP
Yeah.
We have a Speaker of Parliament. It happens.
Yeah.
So that one there,
Let's see when NDC comes back. We'll see. All these
all this,
all these things that they are doing.
in all this,
let's see if they wouldn't do the same when they are in power.
you see, in all this, if they had
NDC
taken
is
a
different.
CPP Speaker of Parliament
Yeah.
or a
They would have
PSC
done-
Speaker of
yeah.
Parliament,
It would have been nice.
that would have been a different one. Yeah.
As far as the some NDC in India, well,
Let me continue.
well, Kwame,
Yes,
the economic foundation can never be said to be strong. It can be, because from all indication, you could see that we are heading towards destruction. Now, the Vice President once upon a time told us that if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. It has more than exposed them. They took the dollar from 3.8 something, that was in 2016. Now we are 6.5 thereabout. So you can't tell me that is stability. Now, as we speak, debt to GDP is 83%. 83%, which is no joke. To any investor or any foreigner you looking at these figures, he sees that no, this is a country that I would not like to put any investment in, because their debt portfolio is so high, it becomes very difficult to borrow more. So, Kwame, all indications shows that, look, they are losing the battle financially. They've even lost it. Remember, 45% of whatever we make in a year goes in servicing old debt. 45%. Then you use about 10 to 15% to pay public sector workers and everything. That's about 60%. Then some allocations are made to the presidency and other things. So at the end of the day, you just have a small pool for development. And this has been a cycle we've been going round for several years. Whenever we have something in the kitty, it goes to finance maturing debts. Now, you keep on taking the debts without investing them in productive sectors for them to repay themselves. You keep on borrowing for consumption. When that happens, it means that there's no mechanisms. You don't have any first mechanism to repay them back. All what you have to do in return, Kwame, is to borrow again to pay back. So, with that kind of cycle, it has no end, because you're not investing in any sector that can repay itself. So you keep on borrowing to pay maturing debt. You keep on doing that. At a point where, as Fish has done, they have downgraded us. When that happens, when you go to the international market, you can borrow, but you borrow at a very expensive rate. That is why Imani came out to say that, look, comparatively with other African countries, the percentage Ghana we have on our interest rates in the international market, it is higher than most African countries. We are even paying 1.25 or 1.5% more than any other African country. This should tell you that, look, the investors are watching out for Ghana, looking at the outlook. They've seen that there's no hope. And the MPP should come out clear and be very honest with Ghanaians. Now, look, we've lost it. We don't have the money. The only way we can salvage this situation is to introduce e-levy. And it is clear. Why are they fighting here and there for e-levy? Because they've realized that that is the only mechanism they can use to inject some capital into the economy. And if that fails, Kwame, they are doomed. That is why they should come out clear and tell Ghanaians, look, we said this and that. When we came, we failed. Country broke. They should be honest with us that these are the alternatives. If you don't go e-levy, then we have to go and borrow again. You see, but they are refusing. And you come out with statements like the economy is strong. No. Meanwhile, the e-levy is a lifeline for you. Without it, you are doomed. So you come out and tell Ghanaians, look, we are sorry. We are sorry. We said this and that. We couldn't do it. So please, let's all understand and find a way around it. That is proper talk. Right. But you don't come and tell us otherwise. And tell us that everything is smooth, the economy is on a good pedestal. No, it is not. Right. And everybody knows it.
And for me,
Yirimambo.
I think that
short but great.
If Baumia want to become flag bearer for the MPP in 2024, he should resign now, so that we will know that we don't
have a vice president.
His concentration is on the MPP.
There will be mechanism to appoint a new vice president.
Yirimambo, Moses Ambe, thank you very much. Desmond Into, thank you. Dr. Benedicta Yaira Fosu Mensa, right? I got it. Yay! AKA Dr. B. Thank you very much for your time. Let me say a big thank you to you for watching today's edition of Good Morning Africa. Continue watching Pan-African Television. Continue sharing our Facebook feed so others can get an opportunity to watch Sometimes when we bash the NDC people, no, you say they stop watching the Facebook. Oh, NDC. NDC, they are saying NDC, both NDC and MPP, both NDC and MPP, they are emotional.
Are you really sure?
So you guys are too emotional.
NDC is also emotional, but MPP, they are intolerant.
Yes, MPP is emotionally intolerant. Yes.
For them, they will
Anyway, a special good morning to Hanan Abdul Wahab. You're doing some great job up north. Continue with that. I'm sure the news team will bring you up to speed with that. Good morning to my friend and brother Samir Uku of the MPP. So you people, I have a lot of MPP friends. So good morning to Kwabena Japan of MPP. Good morning to Palafoko of. I have a lot of MPP friends. A lot of them. In fact, Kwabena Dakumensa, good morning. You know what you have done. So now. No, NDC people, if I greet them right now, I don't give them a problem.
NDC, rather.
Oh, NDC there, I have plenty of them to greet. Alaji Baba Seidu, Isifu, Mutala Mohammed, Rashid Pelpu, A.B. Husseini, in fact, Bernard Mona. Bernard Mona is no, that's not what I meant.
Please,
I ended the NDC list. I'm moving to PIC list. And then I moved to CBB, Hajia Hamdati. But CBB, the interference is you, Hajia, and then my friend. So proud who are popular. And then I had that one.
You should be inviting them to the show. They will come.
Oh, Master Jamasi. I see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice day. God bless you. Bye-bye.